hope you're alright. It's beautiful outside today again, and it's great news about Joe Wicks getting the Guinness Book of Records for the amount of people that are still taking part. I hope you're doing it. We're doing it. We're doing the exercises with Joe Wicks every morning, so hope you are too. Right, I am going to continue reading Michael Morpurgo's My Friend Walter. Over halfway, can you see?
Look at that, so exciting.
Right. I found the telephones on Paddington Station. Most of them didn't work, but I found one that did and put in my money. The telephone rang. Father answered. "Craps, Bess, where the dickens have you been? You all right? Where are you?" "Paddington Station." "Paddington? I'm catching the next train home, Father," I said. I could hear him shouting to Mother that I was all right. She came to the telephone, her voice heavy with crying. "I'm sorry, Mother," I said. "I didn't mean to. I was upset. I just ran away. I had to." "It doesn't matter, dear," she said. "All that matters is that you're safe and you're coming home. We'll meet you at the station. Oh, you frightened the life out of us, Bess." And then she began to laugh. I could hear Humph barking in the background. I could see it all. Will jumping up and down and Humph bounding around him in excitement. The pips went on the phone and we were cut off. I coughed as soon as I found an empty part of the carriage to be sure Walter was still there, and there he was sitting beside me in the window seat, swamped in his black cloak. "I fear you have very little faith in me, cousin," he whispered. "Have I not promised you I will not leave your side?" And he lit up his pipe and sat back in his seat. When I looked again, he wasn't there. But he was, if you know what I mean. Of course no one else could see the smoke, but they could smell it all right, and they did. I wasn't to know that I had chosen no smoking seat, was I? I hadn't even thought to look. At the first stop, Reading, it was, a lady got in and sat down opposite us. She kept coughing and wiping her eyes and eyeing me angrily. So I held my nose and shrugged my shoulders. It wasn't long before she got up and moved away, and we had the whole carriage to ourselves. Then the ticket collector came round. He must have been about 7 foot tall. He sniffed the air deliberately. "Are you on your own?" he asked, taking my ticket. I nodded. "Someone meeting you at the other end, are they?" "Yes," I said. "That's all right then," said the ticket collector, sniffing again. "Oh, a bit of a pong in here. I've had a complaint. Lady back there says that you've been smoking. You been smoking, have you?" I shook my head. He handed me back my ticket. "It's bad for you, you know. Stunts your growth. Never had one in my life." And he was gone. It was dark by the time we got back to Exeter. They were all there waiting on the platform. Mother, Father, Will and little Jim. Mother and Father hugged me so I could hardly breathe, and I think they cried a bit, even Father. Little Jim grabbed my nose and pulled it, which made me screech. He had such sharp little nails. Will was the only one who didn't seem at all pleased to see me. He just looked at me coldly, and I could see that Father, although he was relieved to have me back, was angry under it all, and trying hard not to show it. "Everyone's been out looking for you," he said as we walked back to the platform. "What were you thinking of, going off like that?" "I told you, dear," said Mother. "She was upset, weren't you, Bess?" I nodded. "I thought so," Mother went on. "She just couldn't take it any more, could you, dear? I mean, there was times today when I would have done the same thing myself, given half a chance. We didn't even know you were missing till after the sale. Tea time it was. To go running off like that without so much as a—" Father was getting into his stride, but Mother looked at him and stopped him before he could go in. "Never mind that, old dear," she said firmly. "There's no real harm done, and now she's back." "But she's got to know the trouble she's caused," Father insisted. "I mean, we had the police out looking along the river bank. They put frogmen in the river. Will said you told him you were going fishing. We thought you'd fallen in and drowned." "I'm sorry," I said. I didn't mean it. Honest, I didn't. It was all those people, and then Sally was going, and she was being sold, and I just wanted to get away, that's all." "We understand, dear," said Mother. I'm not so sure they will," said Father, nodding towards the ticket barrier. 2 policemen were standing there. I recognised one of them as the same who had come when Sally went missing. They were both looking hard at me as I came towards them. Neither looked very pleased to see me. "And where have you been, young lady?" said the one with the peaked cap, the one I'd seen before. "London." "You put a lot of people to a lot of trouble, you know that." I nodded, and I looked down at my feet, because I didn't want to look at him in the eye. "I don't know why you went, but don't you ever go off like that again, do you hear me? Promise me now." "I promise," I said, and I meant it. "I'll call off the search then, Mr. Throckmorton." "Thanks," said father, shaking his hand, "and I'm sorry we've put you to so much trouble." "Is that what it's what we're here for," he said. "All's well that ends well, eh?" He borrowed another of Gran's favourite sayings. Will never said a word to me, not in the station and not in the Land Rover all the way home, but I sensed he was looking at me in the darkness, and it made me feel uncomfortable. I coughed 4 times, and with some relief I saw the dark shape of Walter appear beside him. We were back home in the kitchen before Will said a word to me. Mother had taken little Jim up to bed, and father was taking Humph out for a walk, as he always did last thing at night. At first there was silence between us. "Why didn't you tell me?" Will said suddenly. "I wouldn't have said anything." "I know," I said. "You didn't want me to come with you, did you?" Will went on. He was hurt more than angry. "It wasn't that," I said. "I just wanted to be alone, that's all." "And I've been thinking," he said. "What about?" "That you wouldn't hardly go off like that unless you had a reason, and a good reason. It doesn't make sense. I told you I wanted to be alone." "You can be alone down by the river," said Will. "You don't need to go all the way to London to be alone, do you? There's something you're not telling me, Bess." Mother came in at that moment, and it was just as well. "Oh, little Jim's fast asleep," Mother said. She put the kettle on the stove and sat down heavily. "Well, there's a day I never want to have to live through again. Still, it's over now. All we've got to do is clear up this mess tomorrow and we'll be gone. I want to be out of here as quick as possible now." Hump scratched open the back door and came bounding in, nose to the ground. He dashed straight through the kitchen, skidded in the hallway, and thundered up the stairs. "He'll wake up little Jim," said Mother. "What's the matter with that dog?" said father, putting the torch down on the kitchen table. "Didn't seem to want his walk, and that's not like him at all." You could hear Hump shuffling along the passage upstairs. "What the dickens is he after?" said father, looking up at the ceiling. "Dunno," I said, but I knew all right. Will was looking at me, and then up at the ceiling, and then back at me. He was frowning. I knew for sure where my friend Walter was. There was no need for me to cough. The clock on the mantelpiece struck 12. "Weather forecast," said father. "Always listen to the weather forecast last thing at night. Always have done. Not that it matters to me now that I'm not a farmer any more." "Oh, you'll always be a farmer, dear," Mother said, going over to him and putting an arm around him. "It's in your blood. Something'll turn up, you'll see. And we had a good sail, didn't we? Better than we could have hoped for. We'll be all right." The radio whistled and hissed until father found the station he was looking for. "And here are the main headlines again tonight." I could hear Humph whining outside my room and scratching at the door. The voice on the radio faded in and out, but you could hear most of what was said. "Police have confirmed tonight that one of the crown jewels is missing. One of the golden orbs, known as Queen Mary's Orb, has been stolen from the Tower of London. It is the first time that any of the crown jewels had been stolen. Police say that there is no evidence of a break-in and no alarm was set off. Streets around the tower are still sealed off tonight. A police spokesman said it was clearly the work of experts. The crown jewels, seen by millions of visitors each year, are kept under the tightest possible electronic security. The orb is said to be worth well over £10 million. And now here is the weather forecast." I did not hear the weather forecast, for my head was swimming and pounding, of my heart was so loud in my ears that I thought everyone must hear it. The honeycomb! So that was the honeycomb! Walter was talking about it in his riddle. It all fell into place in a few sickening seconds. Who else but a ghost? Who else but my friend Walter could steal the crown jewels without setting off alarms, without breaking anything, and who had disappeared for a few minutes and left me alone in the bloody tower, who had talked of taking the honeycomb and how angry the bees would be if it was discovered. My friend Walter had done it, and he was upstairs in my bedroom now, and 6 to 1 he had the golden orb from the crown jewels with him. Mother put a mug of tea in front of me and stirred in the sugar. I felt as if I was being drawn down into it and would drown in the whirlpool of tea in front of my eyes. "Are you all right, dear?" said Mother, pushing the hair back from my forehead to feel it. "You're very pale all of a sudden, and there's a cold sweat on you. I don't suppose you've had anything to eat all day, have you, dear?" "No," I said. "Oh, tired out, I shouldn't wonder," said Father, switching off the radio. "Well, I'm blowed. Did you hear that? How the devil did they manage it? We went up there once years ago. Coach trip, remember? You were there only a couple of months ago, weren't you, Bess? Went there with Auntie Ellie after that family gathering, didn't you?" I managed to nod. Don't know what they think they can do with it, though. Can hardly sell it, can they? I mean, someone would recognise it. Most famous jewels in the world they are. Still, 10 million quid. He whistled. What I wouldn't do with a little bit of that, just for that moment. And they say base, to be honest. Oh, well. I dared not look across at Will for fear of catching his eye. "Well, Bess went up to London today," Will said. "Perhaps she brought it back with her." And they all laughed at that. I tried to laugh with them, but I think it came out more like a groan. We all went up to bed at the same time that night. At the top of the stairs, Father kissed me on the forehead, just like my friend Walter, and I don't think he'd ever done that before. It was almost worth running away. "Tomorrow can only be better," he said. Humph came lolloping out of my bedroom. "Find what you were looking for, Humph," said Father. "Now get downstairs." Humph looked up at him and went soulfully downstairs, stopping to look back over his shoulder every few steps as if there might be a reprieve. And there wasn't. "Tomorrow night we'll be at Auntie Ellie's, and she won't let you sleep upstairs, that's for sure." Humph sighed and went. Right, I will carry on reading. So, lovely to see you. Well, not see you, but you know what I mean. Be good. Listen to your mums and dads, your carers. Be good to your brothers and sisters. Always be kind. All right?